searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, but those eyes so bright.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shenanigans. I'm realizing that the name of my podcast today works very well for my guest, so it's quite fitting that we have her joining. We've got actress, podcaster, mama, social media entrepreneur, Shenae Grimes-Beech. How we doing?
Good, so good.
So ever since like 90210 and just, I mean, I know you were acting even before that, but I remember the first time seeing the way your name was spelled. I was like, oh my God, it's so similar to mine with the A and the E.
Yes.
And my whole life, my name has got mispronounced.
Yeah.
I get Shenae a lot. I get Scheana, Sheana.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine. What have you
Yes,
gotten?
I have gotten all kinds of different things. And my mom spelt my name what she thought was phonetically because it's an Irish name, so it's supposed to be spelled S-I-N-E.
So is mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So she was like, I'm doing her a favor.
Yeah.
Like, nobody will mess this up. But everybody messes it up.
Yeah, and apparently mine, it's like an Irish Russian spelling and it's pronounced Sean, but then it's like I have these extra A's in it and it's just made a unique, beautiful name. Also very difficult for 38 years of my life having to spell, pronounce, and
I'm sure you
all
appreciate
that.
it now, though. as
Yeah.
you're older. I feel
No,
like it's
totally.
Like super cool.
I love having
nobody
it.
else
Yeah.
has this name.
No, it's so cool to have a unique name. But I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. It's like Shenanigans. When I was coming up for the name of this podcast,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, if we do Shenanigans, but then spell it with my name, Sheana,
Yeah.
it just gives it a little extra twist.
Yeah,
so I know this has
cute.
been a long time in the making,
Yes.
trying to get together to podcast.
Yes.
Okay, so you said Shenae, family name. Is there anyone else in your family named it, or?
No. I have a second cousin named Sheana.
Okay.
So I think that was like on the table
Gotcha.
for a minute. And then my mom heard Sinead, obviously Sinead
Yeah,
O'Connor.
right.
Take away the D so it's not so harsh. And you have to have like a little accent over the E. So she was like, no, people will call her Sign, Sinead, whatever. Like I'm
Totally.
throwing the H in there. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was Sheena Easton, but instead of just spelling it phonetically like Sheena, they're like, let's make it this
Let's be
weird, like
creative.
Russian, Irish, whatever type of spelling.
Very cool.
But yeah, so we've been trying to get together for a while.
Yeah.
I genuinely hate doing Zoom podcasts. I prefer in person. So when I heard you were in town, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
finally,
Yeah.
we can do it.
Yeah, I've never done, when we had a podcast, we did everything on Zoom.
Yeah.
And there's just like a disconnect. So
Totally.
It's nice to be able to be here in person.
Yeah, and I'm not the most technologically I'm just everything with the audio and there were tricks I learned when I had to do them on Zoom, especially in the pandemic. It's like, if you put one earbud in here and then one in here and that, but I just felt like they were never as good of quality.
Yeah.
And when we have this awesome studio here at Dear Media, I'm like, let's get as many in person, get the video and the audio.
That's awesome.
Perfect. But the original plan was to do a podcast swap last year with your show Unzipped.
Yes.
And so Anna Lynn McCord, your 90210 co-star, was co-hosting that with you.
Yeah.
But that was kind of right around the time when she put out the poem about Putin.
Yes.
And things kind of got put on pause. I was like, I don't know if this is the best time for the swap.
Yeah.
But I admired how you handled that whole situation, by the way.
I mean, I admired the way she handled the whole situation. Like, Anna Lynn is very, like, love and light and namaste.
Yeah.
And so she does not let anything faze her.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you okay? You know?
Right.
Like, oh, my gosh. I would be panicking. I would be just like, oh, my, you know, what do I do now? And whatever.
Yeah.
And she was just like, oh, you know, like, it'll pass, and you know, I understand. But I was just like, wow, you know, she's so composed all the time.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be able to, you know, maintain the podcast, having like your husband and guest hosts and whatnot, that was
that
good.
was so fun for us.
Yeah.
Because we're both like super into and open to the idea of, you know, life beyond and all of that kind of stuff. And when we met Chris and had him on Unzipped, I was just like, this guy is so gifted. And I've never had a proper reading like that with someone in person. I've spoken to psychics and things like that before, and you're like, okay, yeah, like grain of salt, maybe it's accurate, whatever.
Totally.
But when I spoke to Chris, I was like, it felt like it wasn't as much about like predicting dates and this and that. It was more about like he got me and like saw me in a way that a complete stranger like couldn't possibly, you know, where I was like, whoa, you're inside my head right now.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to be able to listen in essentially and have him read these total strangers that were just listeners of the show.
Yeah.
And get to have these, pretty moving conversations with them.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm all about that kind of stuff.
I'm a Scorpio, so I feel like I'm
okay.
There's a little like mystical side
yeah,
to me.
Right? Tomorrow we're actually doing an astrological birth chart reading thing with my friend Allie.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
My mom does not know my birth time. And I'm so old that my birth time is not on my birth certificate.
Is it because it's a Canadian birth certificate? See, that's the same with my husband.
Oh
he was born in New Zealand.
Okay.
And then my friend James, Allie's boyfriend, was born in the UK.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just an American thing to have your time recorded on your birth certificate because everyone from out of the country doesn't have their time. So it's not just you.
It makes me feel better and a lot less old. I was like, wow, I'm just like ancient, like back in the day when they were doing paperwork.
No,
when
it was
babies
not
were born.
that. I think it was just the Canadian thing.
Yeah, that must be it. But so I'm always, I'm like so curious because while I definitely identify with a lot of Scorpio traits, I've met a lot of Scorpios, especially in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And like there's certain things I don't align with totally. And I feel like there's like other stuff going on, other signs going on, but I'll never get to the bottom of it.
Totally. Does she know like a rough time of day?
She thinks morning. There's 3 of us. She's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
see,
maybe in the morning. I'm like, cool, Mom.
My husband was the 5th one.
Okay.
So he just, fell out.
Yeah, totally.
And all his mom said is, I think it was around 0600 because I know his dad made it to work on time. I was like, you just like pushed out your 5th kid and he's like, gotta go clock in.
Oh my gosh.
But if you have like a rough idea, I know you can kind of figure out where the planets were aligned, but having that exact time obviously is going to give you the most accurate reading.
Well,
so
that'll be so fun for you.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I love just all of that psychic astrology, anything like that, tarot cards.
Yeah.
I'm all about.
Yeah.
I found out I was pregnant for the first time when I ended up having a miscarriage, but before that, I had missed my period, didn't realize it was just a few days late, and I had a tarot card reading that night, and she told me, like, you have a child today if you want it. And I thought, well, yeah, I froze my eggs, so technically if I wanted to go have a baby today, you go unfreeze the eggs. And then I was like, I was supposed to have my period a few days ago. No way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I just find it very validating. I know that people have extremely strong feelings on both sides about
100%.
it. And I get it, whatever, to each their own. But for me, more so than like needing to know the future, I find it to be very validating about where I'm at in the present.
Yeah.
To have something outside of myself come in and be like, I see you. You
Yeah.
know? I find it comforting.
Yeah. I love when I have a fellow believer because there are so many people who it's so easy to be a skeptic, and especially if you get a reading where it's somewhat broad or they're like, oh, whatever. And I've even had some of those before where I'm like, okay, this is a stretch, but then I'm like, you're also spot on, but like it could be a stretch.
Yes.
My husband, whenever I have this one psychic, her name's Eden, and whenever we would do our readings over Zoom, he would literally have to physically leave the house because his energy and his non-believerness would block it. And she was like, there was one time we were at my house in San Diego, and all of a sudden, like everything started coming through, and she goes, did Brock leave? And I was like, no, but I bet he's asleep upstairs. Wow. And I went and I looked and he was asleep. And it was like she was able to reconnect.
Oh my God.
But his energy would block it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I know.
Oh no, me and Josh are both super into
I love that. I'm trying to get him to be more because I'm like, there are things that they've told me where I'm like, you couldn't possibly know this. Even being a public figure, it's way more easy to be skeptical because it's like you could have maybe Googled what I called my grandpa if I mentioned that in an interview once upon a time.
Right.
But then there's the things where I'm like, there's no way someone could know this. It's just impossible.
And like inner thoughts.
Yeah.
Like inner thoughts that like sometimes you don't even want to say it to your partner. Sometimes you don't want to say
For
it to
sure.
your mom.
I have
you know?
OCD, so my intrusive thoughts run wild every day.
I mean, I don't have OCD, but my inner dialogue is, or monologue. Depends on the day.
Right?
You know? But it is running at all times. And there's like things that like you wouldn't, we have shame attached to so many feelings. And so they're just things I wouldn't feel comfortable saying out loud. Sometimes even to myself, because you're acknowledging that they're real and true. So when those moments happen, you're just like,
yeah, that's why I'm thankful I have a good therapist. I'm like, this is a safe space. I can tell you the crazy shit that goes on in my brain, which I usually end up just repeating on the podcast anyways, because I'm like, you're not alone. If you have crazy thoughts, so do I.
I'm your girl. I know my husband's always like, how was therapy today? Like, did she help? I'm like, it's just like the ultimate vent session.
It really is.
Like a totally unbiased party.
Yeah.
Who's not going to be affected in any way, shape, or form by any of the shit that I can just let fly out of my mouth. It's awesome.
I had to tell my therapist this last season of Vanderpump Rules, I was like, I'm going to need you to start watching the show because it will just help you understand more of what I'm going through from like an outside perspective, but also through mine. And she had never seen the show. And she's like, there's certain laws and things against, their practice where they can't Google clients. I'm like, please Google me. I don't know if you understand right now, there's a restraining order against me. And if you could just Google me and like,
God.
It was a whole thing.
Okay,
I have to say dropped.
Something. I have not ever seen an episode.
I love that.
Of Vanderpump. And I know it's like the most popular, but I'm like, you guys have been on for so long that I'm like, I need my kids to get a little bit older or something so that I really have the time to just invest and like, dive in. Because it's my jam 100%. Yeah. But when I was coming on the show, multiple of my friends are like reality TV fanatics just like me. And they are so excited that I'm here right now. And I'm like, what do you want me to ask her? What should I say?
Yeah,
like,
any questions?
Exciting.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. I was watching Love Island last night, which I'm obsessed with. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
Who isn't?
I know.
And I thought, wow, they're having these conversations and I'm just watching it for, all the good drama and all the goodness and all the love stories and all the rest of it. But I had this moment of clarity where I was like, in the real world, a guy walks into a room who's cuter than like the guy you've been chatting with for a few weeks, like you're probably just gonna ghost the guy and move on. You know, like it doesn't need to be this like big heavy conversation. But watching them, that's what they're there to do. They're there to have all of the conversations about all of the feelings. And I'm like, wow, I don't know how I would go.
That show is on another level. It's like on 5 days a week. They're filming 24 hours, 7 days a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But if you're single and, I mean, what a fun experience.
For sure. And they're like, oh, I'm looking for love. And it's like, they're 21. I'm like, girl, you're fine. Like, go and have fun.
Right?
Call it what it is. But some of those couples have lasted a really long time. Had babies. Molly May had a baby not long ago.
Same with The Bachelor. Like, there's so many couples who, I mean, a lot don't make it. But then you have the ones who are married with kids. And
wild.
You really can find love in reality TV or a disaster. You never know. It's one or the other.
So cool.
Yeah. So I have a fun little game that I thought we could play. Okay. But before we do that, I just want to take a quick little break and then we'll be right back getting into some more shenanigans. This episode of Shenanigans is brought to you by Poise Ultra Thins. As you all know, I am in love with being a mom, and it's really important to me to be transparent about all things motherhood. I feel like motherhood is one of the things I am doing right in life. I am getting more confident by the day, but let me tell you, I am most confident when I'm wearing Poise Ultra Thins because I don't have to worry about bladder leaks. A lot of women use period pads for their bladder leaks after having a baby, but look, let's be honest, period pads aren't designed for pee. Poise Ultra Thins, on the other hand, are. Poise Ultra Thins are the brand's thinnest protection that help keep you clean, dry, and fresh throughout the day while you spend time with your little ones, while you're maybe going to the grocery store, going to the park, going for a little mom's night out. You want to hit the dance floor. Maybe you're like me and you want to get up on the bar and do the splits and sing good as gold. But you know what? When I do that, let me tell you, I feel most confident when I'm wearing Poise Ultra Thins because I don't have to worry about having any leakage. So if you are like me and you know that those little moments are really so important, then Poise Ultra Thins are such a good way to enjoy motherhood without compromise. It takes poise. Learn more at poise.com. And from, maybe dancing on bars to the busy fall season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals, jam-packed with flavor. And I am talking to you about Factor. Y'all hear me talk about this every week on the podcast. I've gotten tweets about it. I've gotten DMs about it. And that's because it is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit that can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals that come delivered straight to your door. They come straight to my door every Tuesday. And I know that for the rest of the week, I am going to be fed and good. And I'm also going to be saving time, eating well, and staying on track with what I'm trying to have as a healthy lifestyle. You can refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat and choose from 34 plus weekly flavored pack dietitian approved meals ready to eat in just 2 minutes. This August, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh flavor packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes with no prep and no mess. You can head to factormeals.com/Team Ariana50 and use code Team Ariana50 to get 50% off. Okay, so you starred alongside JoJo in the 2008 film True Confessions of a Hollywood Starlet.
Somebody did their research.
We're going back. So I wanted to play a fun little game where we test your knowledge on things Hollywood starlet from that era.
Oh my, okay.
This was like a fun. This was a fun era in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
I turned 21 in 2006.
Okay.
But right around that time was when I was going to like Ladue, and you would see Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan, and like it was just that era where I felt like that was the last true time in Hollywood where celebrities had any sort of privacy inside the club.
Yes.
Once they left, there was paparazzi.
Yes.
But we didn't have iPhones. We didn't have, the technology we have today where, I mean, it's crazy. When we walk into SUR this season, I have no idea how they're going to be able to film around it or if they're just going to show it, because like I walk in and no joke, it felt really cool. People were chanting my name.
Stop.
Everyone has their phones out and I'm like, are you just going to cut my walk in? Because
like that's why they're there. They're there for that moment with you. Wow.
Yeah. So I thought it would be fun to just go back to the 2000s and
times.
ask some questions and test your knowledge. Okay. In the year 2000, Kentwood, Louisiana opened up a museum dedicated to which songstress who calls that town home?
Obviously Britney Spears.
Perfect. I thought we'd start easy. Okay. Natalia Ramos, Skylar Shay, Logan Browning, and Janelle Parrish starred in the 2007 film based on what line of Fashion Forward's kids dolls?
Oh my God. Wow.
Big eyes, big features.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun fact,
2 for 2.
Skylar Shay's dad owned the first restaurant I worked in when I moved into LA, Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And I got fired from that job, fun fact, for dating John Mayer. Much longer story for another time.
Oh my God, I got a good story for you too then. Off air.
But because of me getting fired from that job, I went over to Villa Blanca, which Lisa Vanderpump owned, which turned into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and then Vanderpump Rules.
So you're like, thank you, Skylar
So,
Shay's dad.
Thank you to Skylar Shay's dad. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I know. It's so crazy how sometimes I'm like, you know what? Thank you, John Mayer. If it wasn't for sleeping with you, I may not be where I am today.
There you go. I always say I owe my entire career to Hillary Duff because she passed on my role in 90210. I've never met her. She must think I'm so weird and like some crazy lady saying that. But I'm like, thanks, Hillary.
Thank you, Hillary.
I owe you.
Yes.
I owe you big time.
And we're going to get into the 90210 stuff too because I have some stuff about that. But okay. What Canadian artist released her debut studio album Let Go in 2002 and was anointed the pop punk queen?
Oh, Avril Lavigne.
Yes. Love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're both
She's
Canadian.
royalty.
Yeah, totally. All right. Shadow Man, Tiana, and Louis the Alligator are all characters in what 2009 animated Disney film?
Oh, you lost me at animated. That's not my jam. I mean, it wasn't. Now I have kids and I've seen them freaking all, but no, yeah.
Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
Fountains of Wayne frontman Adam Schlesinger wrote several of the songs featured in what 2001 filmed that was loosely based on both an Archie comic series and a Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
What era? What year was the show?
This is like...
Recent. Ish?
No, it was a singer and...
Oh, Josie and the Pussycats!
Yes!
Oh my God. That was my favorite movie.
It was so good.
Favorite movie. I can't even tell you how many times I watched that movie.
Yeah. The
Rachel Lee
movies in it, seriously, like that era of movies, like the Freddie Prinze Jr. era,
God.
Paul Walker, R.I.P.
I know.
The best.
Rachel Lee Cook was just like such a babe. Rosario Dawson.
I know. I feel like they just don't make movies like that anymore. The corny, cheesy, but like so good that you watch them over and over.
That gets made now. Yeah, like it's not iconic like that. You know, like back in the, I was like an Olsen twins fanatic.
Oh, funny you say that.
So, like, well, but like Holiday in the Sun.
Yeah,
man, like,
I know.
Oh, so good.
Well, it's funny you mentioned them because my next question was, what is the fashion line the Olsen twins named after their siblings?
The Row. No, Elizabeth and Olsen.
Elizabeth
and James.
Yes.
I used to have a poncho from Elizabeth and James, and I felt
I
like,
love that.
It was my piece of the Olsens.
Yeah.
in my closet.
Okay, well, staying with the Olsens, what is the last film Mary-Kate and Ashley starred in together?
Ooh. I want to say, was New York Minute the
Yeah.
last one?
And like, how long ago was that?
So long ago with Eugene Levy.
Yeah.
The cop, like chasing them around.
I know.
One with the straight hair, one with the wavy.
Yeah.
So good.
I wish they were still acting.
I know.
I mean, their sister, she crushes it. And I'm like a big Avengers.
She's incredible.
Like WandaVision, all that. She's amazing.
She's incredible.
But I
do you
miss the
follow
Olsen twins.
Olsen Anonymous on Instagram?
No.
Okay, you should.
Okay.
Because it'll give you your little daily dose
Okay.
of like them in their
I love
heyday,
that.
and
I'll
it'll
go
make you
down
happy.
Snapchat rabbit holes whenever I see anything Olsen's pop up because it's like, I think we're a year apart. But that was my childhood. I mean, from Full House in the 80s to New York Minute.
Yeah.
And then
so good.
they just...
Mary-Kate in like 2006 is like my forever style icon up there
Yeah.
with Steven Tyler.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Those two are it for me.
Totally. Okay, and Mean Girls, what was Gretchen Wiener's father's claim to fame?
Oh, God. I should know this because I've seen that movie a million times.
He was the inventor of...
I don't know.
Toaster strudel.
Oh, I was just texting with Jonathan Bennett the other day too. I'm like, sorry, Johnny. I lived with the Damien was his Daniel Franzese. I lived with him.
He's
for
been
a
on my
while.
podcast.
Oh, so
yeah,
is he the
yeah,
best?
love him.
He's so sweet. He taught me how to properly parallel park because he used to be a bouncer in
Really?
New York, and he was like, you know, if you can parallel park in New York City, you can do it anywhere. So this is the tip. And
100%.
Like really, really well.
Yeah, wow. Because I mean, New York, I've never actually physically driven in New
I've never
York.
driven a car in New York.
No, we rented a car once and made my husband drive. We drove to the Hamptons.
Yeah.
But around the city, I'm like, nope.
No. I barely drive anymore. Period. I always make my husband drive.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I don't
Same.
know what it's like a wipe. I don't know. It's such a stereotypical thing to do. But
I know. But
I'm like an
also,
old
he
lady,
complains
but, like,
about
it
my
gets dark at
driving.
night.
And
I know. They're like such, passenger drivers the whole time. I'm like, mind you, I'm just as bad. In a parking lot, there was like a comedy, like a stand-up guy who did like this whole bit about like wives when their husband's driving in parking lots. And I was like, it's like he was in the back seat of a car.
Is he here?
Yeah, it was so great because I'm like, oh my God, you have to pick up a spot furthest away from the door.
Right.
Like, why are we over here?
I
We're
know.
Like, now we have to walk a mile to the front door. But
Totally.
it was really funny.
Yeah.
We're all living parallel lives.
I know.
If TikTok's taught us anything. kidding. It's
Seriously. I'm like, Avengers, the multiverse. It's real. Okay, last one. Name 3 stars who have interned for Teen Vogue.
Well, I'm one.
I know.
Oh God, who else? Well, Lauren Conrad.
Uh-huh.
Did Whitney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boom. Those are the ones I had.
Cool.
Yay. I mean, you won that game. You
Thank
got
you.
like almost
Thank you very
everyone
much.
right.
That means a
Ding,
lot.
ding, ding.
My early 2000s crown I wear proudly.
Yes. All right. Well, going back to kind of that time. So I don't know if you remember this at all, but I guest starred on an episode of 90210.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So,
was it in a scene with me?
It was not with you. It was
Okay.
with Annalyn.
Okay.
And then
okay.
I had a couple other scenes with like Trevor
my
and
gosh.
Matt and whatnot.
Yes.
But it was season 3, episode 3.
Okay.
My character's name was Cassandra. Never said my name. That was just, I guess, for the
yeah,
credit
for-
on IMDb or whatever in the script instead of just being like girl number 1.
Sure,
I was
yeah.
like, yes, I have a name. And there was a potential for it to be recurring.
Okay.
But then it was like the gay best friend. He ended up getting a slightly recurring role and they just axed me.
Oh, poor
but
Cassandra.
it was one of my favorite shows I watched at the time. So I first got the audition for Jessica's character.
Lounges?
And yeah.
Okay.
And I
Adriana,
was
yeah.
like, I'm not a singer. Like, this character
Yes.
sounds amazing, right up my alley, but I know there's going to be a girl who can actually sing. So
yeah.
I honestly don't remember if I even ended up auditioning for that or not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She sang
obviously.
all the time.
Yeah.
She has the
And
prettiest
she's
voice.
incredible.
Yeah, she's super talented.
So yeah, but my character gave Annalyn's character sleeping pills, and she ended up like taking too many of them. I was like recovering from a nose job, and she hadn't slept in a while. And I'm like, here, take some of these. And it's funny because in the pandemic, when everyone was just at home and binging stuff, I had so many people tweet me, tag me on Instagram. They're like, wait, what? How did we not realize that I was on The Hills, I was on a Jonas Brothers, I was the
Stop.
pizza girl on Disney.
Oh my
there were just so
gosh.
many like random roles that I played that people didn't realize until like 2020.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. On The Hills, I'm like, when were you in The Hills for a while?
I was Stacy the bartender's best friend. So when all of that drama with her and Spencer Pratt was going down and Heidi and Stephanie were showing up to the club, I was like, I guess just one of the hoes who was there, you know. So
living your best life.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But that show, we all know now, was very scripted.
Yeah.
And so we knew the drill going in, like, okay, we're the girls who are going to be like flirting with Spencer.
Sure, yeah.
But then after the scene, we would like talk to Heidi and she's like, I'm sorry, was I too mean to you? And we're like, no,
gosh,
it's
that's so
okay. You did a great job.
That's so funny.
That was also like my first intro to reality TV. And I'm like, oh, it's all fake.
right. Yeah.
Then I get on Vanderpump Rules and I'm like, it's not fake at all.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
Totally different experience.
Very different.
I was friends with this girl Erin, whose freaking last name I'm blanking on. We were friends for a short while, but she was on The City with
Okay.
when Whitney went
Yeah.
to New York.
Uh-huh.
And she dated like one of my high school friends who I hadn't seen, in years anyway. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? He's on The City now? Like
Yeah.
dating this girl. But I remember we became friends much after The City. And
Yeah.
she was telling me like the whole time, I'm like, la la la, don't ruin it for
I
me.
know.
Like, I just want to ignorantly watch this. as though
Right?
It's totally real.
No, my mom was the same way. And I remember telling her after the first time I filmed, like, how fake it was.
Yeah.
And she was like, you've just ruined everything for me. Like, I thought this was all. I'm like, no, Mom, Stacy isn't actually hitting on someone's boyfriend and trying to sneak around with him at the club.
Oh my
like, this is the storyline. They wanted her on the show. And so they're like, oh, we'll introduce you this way.
I was like, I'm pretending this conversation
Yeah.
didn't happen and just choosing to
Yeah.
hear it.
And then the showrunners and executive producers from The Hills were who started Vanderpump Rules. So I just
Okay.
assumed, oh, okay, this will
They
be
must
like
know-
loosely
yeah.
scripted. And no, unfortunately, our show has been very real. So I'm like, I wish I could just blame, production or the writers or anyone
ain't it.
for things sometimes. And I'm
No
like,
scapegoat.
no, that shit came out of my mouth. I really said it. Maybe it's edited, but I still said it.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, there's that whole aspect to reality TV too, where we just have to own our shit. Because if it came out of our mouth, we said it. It doesn't matter if someone maybe put the idea in our head, like, well, this is an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
If I repeat it and I say it out loud, I'm accountable for that.
Well, that's got to be another, like, again, talk about an interesting perspective. Like, just that mirror being held up to you at all times. Like, I would not be equipped to maybe now in my older years, but in my younger years, like, woo, girl, like, it's somebody who is documenting all the shit that just goes flying out of your mouth and the sticky situations you get yourself in, and having to really look at that mirror, own that, listen to all the running commentary around you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's hard work.
Yeah, and it's like running wild right now. I went down a Twitter rabbit hole recently, and I, get a call from my mom or my publicist, like, okay, I think we've commented enough. Can we maybe not? I'm like, I just need to say one more thing.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I never go down those rabbit holes, but when I do, I'm like, nope, you're wrong about this. Let me correct you here. And I'm just like, just watch the show next season. It'll all play out. But it's like, there's one little thing, like a photo someone sees, and then they just run with this entire story. And I'm like, you have no idea what led up to that photo.
Right.
You don't know what that conversation was. You're just watching body language. Like, we're filming a lot in public. And so people, take a photo, and then that gets posted, and then people just run wild with their scenarios. And I'm like,
got it.
Just watch next season. Watch next season. It'll all play out.
Because can you not, like, give spoilers away, really? I always find it interesting.
I usually get an angry phone call from someone if I do that, especially on this podcast.
Watching the Kardashians, I'm always like up to what's going on with the Kardashians.
Same.
And then, months later you watch the show and you get more of that behind the scenes insight into, more context of what's going on.
Depending on what it is. Like, I remember when I got engaged the first time around, season 2, I was not allowed to post about it. I wasn't allowed to wear my ring. Like, they did not want that storyline getting spoiled.
Got it.
Then fast forward 2 more seasons, a different couple gets engaged, and they're like, post it on Instagram right now. And I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't get that. And it was like
drum up the hype.
Exactly. And as social media got bigger, it's like now certain things will get posted in real time because that's just going to get people more interested.
Right.
But there are still things that we definitely try to save and not spoil. Like, I'm not going to go into the entire cast trip in details on this podcast because then it's like, why do we need to watch the show if we already know what happened?
For sure.
But okay, speaking of 90210, because I remember what my audition was like for that. And actually, the casting directors for 90210 are some of the reasons why I ended up getting Botox. They told me that for Disney, my facial expression was great, but for a more dramatic type of role, that I needed to learn how to control my eyebrows because this one has a mind of its own. And this eye would squint, and they were like, the role is yours. Like, here's your callback. The role is yours. We want you for this, but we're bringing in a couple other girls as well because if you can't control your facial features, then we're not going to give it to you. Stop. And they're like, maybe try some Botox. And so I started getting Botox, and I was like, I don't know, 24, 25, because I was like, oh, I guess that's what I have to do to get the resting bitch face.
Moving.
Yeah.
My gosh.
So I just remember that part about mine, but
you'd think, I mean, it's a reason why I've hesitated to go down that route myself because I'm like,
expression.
I need my facial expression.
Right.
Like, if I'm just like, like somebody just died and you're just like frozen with like one single tear,
right?
Like,
that's
no,
like Kim Kardashian shit. Great for reality. Resting bitch face all day long. In my interviews, I don't want my face moving. But back then, they were like, bitch, control your eyebrow because it was just like a mind of its own.
Isn't this town fucked up?
It really is.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, you were literally like the it girl in young Hollywood. What was that casting process like for you? Because I feel like, I mean, you said Hilary Duff, but I mean, every girl who was an actress at the time must have wanted to go out for this role.
Yeah, I think it was a super highly coveted, show, period, to just get any involvement in. There was so much buzz about, 90210, they're doing a reboot. And this was kind of just before all of the now everything is a remake, a spin-off, a sequel, whatever.
Totally.
This was still in the early days of that trend happening.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting because you knew I mean, first of all, there was no pilot, which is also something that doesn't happen very often, especially with traditional network. We were already picked up for like a 22 or 24 season run, which is just insane. So as an actor, that's the lottery ticket.
Right.
Because, you know, if you're auditioning for a new show, you could definitely get the one episode, the pilot, but it could not get picked up, never see the light of day, right?
Totally.
So that made it exciting. Obviously, just knowing the title of the show is marketing in and of itself, you know? So it was a big deal. When I auditioned, I was living in Toronto. I was interning at a company called Fashion Television, which was like Canada's pretty much only fashion TV outlet at the time. And that was a really important job for me because that's what I saw myself doing, and I wanted to eventually be able to take over for this host who'd been hosting it, Jeannie Becker. She's like an icon in Canada. She'd been hosting it forever, and I was super tight with the producer, like the head guy, and I was like, you know, if I work hard enough and I put my dues in long enough, you know, eventually like I could, you know, do that.
Yeah.
And they had given me my first segment to host, so this was like very big deal for me.
Totally.
And I went to go and film it, and I had the tape come in, and I was like, listen, I'm like going to the fashion incubator in Toronto with these like college students who are designing their stuff. And I was like, and I'm hosting a segment, I'm going to be there interviewing. So I don't know if I'm going to make it because this is like priority number one. I happened to finish just in time. I literally looked at the lines like in the cab on the way to the self-tape place back in the day when you still had to like burn the DVD.
Right. Oh my God, I hated doing that.
And we did that. And then I think it was just a couple days later, I got a call saying you're getting on a plane. They're going to test you. And that was kind of that. So I flew to LA. I got put up at the Sheraton Universal. Like I remember it all so clearly. And I worked with the showrunner at the time, Rob Thomas, who did, what was Kristen Bell's show forever?
Oh.
Veronica Mars.
Yes.
So again, super exciting, you know, and I'm working with him because he really liked me and he was actually going to test me for 2 roles. So I tested for Annie and Silver.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, doubling my chances.
Right.
Which is so exciting.
Totally.
But then when I went in I did Silver first, and Stroup was there, and I think one other girl was there too to test for it. And I went in first, and I messed up my lines in the room. And this was back in the day when they used to test in front of like 40 suits in a cast, you know, a big, almost like theater room.
Yeah.
Like, it was so intimidating. I messed up my lines, and I walked out to the waiting room, and they went in. Stroup was like so cool, and I was just like bawling in the waiting room, being like, I can't believe I just messed that up. Like I just blew it. I blew it, and I'm here, and I blew it. Oh my God. Oh my God. And now I have to go back in front of all of these people and read again for Annie. Like, I just want to die right now. Like, I want to go cry in a hole. And then the scene that I went in for Annie was a scene with her dad, which I think was in the pilot episode, where she's just saying to him, like, I don't belong here. I just want to go home. And I could not have meant those words more in that moment. And so I was just like authentically sobbing, like saying these words. And everybody, you could see the look on everyone's faces, like they bought it, you know?
Yeah.
And then silence for almost a month.
Oh, wow.
Because Silver went to Jessica, and they had offered the lead role to Hilary Duff. And I was like, okay, well, that's it.
Hilary Duff.
Like, it's Hilary Duff. I'm not going to argue that. I'll watch, you know? And then a month later, I was at home studying for my SATs, and I got a call from my agent being like, are you sitting down? And I was like, he was like, your whole life just changed. Hilary Duff passed. You got the job. And I was like, what?
Thank you, Hilary.
Oh my God, thank you, Hilary. Nobody was around for me to call, like nothing. It was just the most insane, surreal moment ever. Yeah.
Wow.
And my whole life did change. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That show, I mean, the original was iconic. So then to do the reboot, and just at the time when it came out, was literally iconic.
Yeah, like we were on the tail end of that era that you're talking about, you know, like to see Hillary Duff split screen with me all over Google was the most, but I mean, I'd watched every episode of Lizzie McGuire, you know, like I could not believe it. And we were right at the tail end of the paparazzi and tabloids because it was pre-social media. Like that was people's access to young Hollywood, you know? So
the Perez Hilton days.
Yes, exactly.
Did you ever get your face drawn on Perez Hilton back in the day?
Many a time.
Me too.
Many a time.
I feel like now it's a rite of passage, you know? If you didn't get like a dick drawn on your face or something.
You know, coke coming out of your nose.
100%. Yeah, I definitely had those.
Yeah.
There was a scene from the show that I know has gone totally viral now.
I know this one.
And there's a cameo from Meghan Markle having an intimate scene with Ethan.
Yes.
Have you guys discussed that all now, like more in the recent years? Just like, oh my God.
I don't think any of us really remembered, you know, at all, because it was such a blip on our radar. You know, 119 episodes. It was one scene at one time. Like you can't even remember all of the guest stars that came on and stuff. But I mean, pretty iconic. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, my husband right now is on a binge of Suits, and he's like,
"Oh yeah,
babe, that's the Duchess." I'm like, yes, honey, I know. She started out as an actress. Like,
totally
it's the whole
surreal.
thing. But
Totally
it's so
surreal.
crazy when you do see like other things that the Duchess guest starred in.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Did any of the OG cast of Beverly Hills 90210 reach out to the new cast and like give you guys advice and whatnot?
We had Jenny Garth. She was a regular on season 1. So she was there pretty regularly. Tori came and did some guest stars. Yeah. I'm sure you've talked to Tori before. She's like the loveliest.
Yeah, we have a lot of mutual friends.
Okay. She's, I mean, like you can't meet a sweeter human being than Tori Spelling. And then Shannon Doherty. Wishing her all the luck in the world as she's moving through this challenging season.
Yeah.
But Shannon, I think because she was essentially my namesake, like, you know, not that we were playing the same characters, but I was the fish out of water with the brother and whatever. Yeah. And I had watched the show religiously. She was also the brunette, so I was like, you know, she was always my fave.
Oh yeah,
and I
loved her.
So excited to meet Shannon, and I remember my showrunner knew what a diehard fan I was and brought me into her trailer and was like, you know, this is Shenae, like she's really excited to meet you. And I was shaking, and she just gave me the biggest, warmest hug ever. And I watched her work on set just in absolute awe of her, because she was so amazing with the crew. She was like, she knew what she would, you know, she's such a seasoned pro, and it was just such a privilege to be able to watch somebody like that, because at 18 you're just getting your feet, you know.
No, totally.
Having examples like that was pretty amazing. And then Jason Priestley didn't act on the show, but he directed it for a couple of episodes, so obviously I was super excited about that. I actually met Luke Perry very briefly at a cafe that had tandem parking near my old house, and the waitress came out and she was like, who's driving it must have been my Prius or whatever, and can you move for this customer to get out? I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And I stood up, and Luke Perry was the customer, and
no way,
no joke, like knocked over a chair, almost like dove into him, and I was like, hi, Luke, I'm on 90210, no, like not your 90210, but like, like the new, I was so nervous. And he was super sweet, was like, okay, this is crazy, I don't even know if he believed me. Yeah. Because I was like that starstruck. But he was super kind. I'm so glad I got to have that story. Totally. Who didn't just worship Dylan?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I had the Barbie back in the day. God. I still have it in storage. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like the hottest Barbie they ever made.
A family heirloom.
I know.
Wow.
Of him, Jordan from New Kids on the Block.
Oh my God, who we had on the show too. Yeah. We had so many cool people on the show over the years.
Such a good show. Who do you keep in touch with the most out of your cast?
Annalyn. Annalyn and I have so much history, and I just love her. Love her like family. I mean, all of us are family. Matt lives down the road from me, Matt Lanter, so I get to see him.
Yeah.
Stroup, I just recently reconnected with. So that's been awesome. And then Tristan and I always send like, happy birthday, sis, happy birthday, bro, you know, messages once a year or whatever. And congratulate each other when we keep popping out babies. Yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things where like, I think there was so much tension behind the scenes for so long. We always said that the behind the scenes should have been a reality show of its own. That's where the good entertaining shit is.
Right.
Always. But when the show got canceled, it was such a mourning process for me. And it was like, you know, I don't like you guys, but I love you. Like, you know, like they're my family. And if anybody ever came for any one of them, like I will stand there toe to toe with that person. Because it's like an unconditional thing. Nobody experienced what we shared together.
Totally.
Nobody ever will. It was just, you know, it was a super crazy time. And we were each other's lifeline throughout it all. So
epic. I'm actually working on producing a film right now. And Tristan's name got thrown around for a character. I'm like, they saw him as one. I was like, no, I see him as this character. Cool. So maybe you could be my way in to get the script to him.
I got the in.
Yeah.
I got the sister in.
Perfect. All right, we're going to take one more quick little break, and then I want to talk some wedding dress and mommy.
Fun.
Yay. Be right back. So right now, I am chilling, very comfortable in my new Capezio sports bra boy shorts set at home as I'm recording this ad. I'm not in the studio because it would be a little inappropriate to be wearing what I'm wearing right now, but you know where it is appropriate? At home, on my couch, chilling, or if I wanted to put on some dance wear and go do a little cha-cha at the dance studio, Capezio has everything for you. Capezio is a family-owned business since 1887. It is a trusted and world-renowned brand in the dance industry. I love what I am currently in, Capezio's sports bra, boy shorts. They have this ribbed material that is so soft, but also has a little bit of padding, which I need because after a year of breastfeeding, my boobs are not what they once were. So beyond dancewear, you can grab activewear pieces for you and your daughter at half the price my friends pay for their entire workout outfits. Now, y'all know if you follow me on Instagram that I love to match my daughter, and their products range in sizes from toddler to 3X. Wake up your body, hit your 2023 fitness goals with Capezio. You can visit capezio.com and get 20% off your first order when you sign up for emails, plus get free shipping when you use code Sheana at checkout. So we're all excited because it's finally summer, but everyone knows there will be some days it gets hot as hell and our fuses get a little shorter, especially, you know, when we're filming. So on those afternoons when you're drenched in sweat just from taking the garbage out, it always feels like everyone around us becomes a bit more annoying, a bit more petty, a bit more in your face. And when it's 95 degrees out, every molehill morphs into a mountain. Trust me when I say this is a recipe for drama. And sometimes, yes, do we love watching drama? Of course we do. But to avoid the chaos and keep the good vibes going this summer, Harmless Harvest has some simple advice. Stay hydrated and mind your business. The best way is to grab a Harmless Harvest organic coconut water. You'll replenish your electrolytes and keep yourself cool so you can avoid losing yours. And when you see someone trying to stir the pot or you hear some wild stuff through the grapevine, it's hard, you know, when it's my job, but you got to just try and stay out of it. I mean, it's tempting. I know we hate letting wrongs go unrighted, but the road to drama is paved with good intentions. And if you've been watching my journey, you know, I just always want the best for everyone. So put those blinders on and just walk away. This summer, stay hydrated and mind your business, okay? That's how Harmless Harvest does it. You can go to harmlessharvest.com and use promo code Sheana for 20% off your first order. Or use their helpful store locator to find the best location retailer near you. Okay, so you may not also know this, but I received some criticism over the years for my first wedding choice of having a very unconventional wedding dress.
Okay.
I wore a crop top. I did a two-piece wedding dress, which no one had done.
At the time, yeah.
Shortly after, Ashley Simpson did, which I would just like to think that maybe I was her inspo.
Totally.
And now
Take
that
all
I'm
the
actually
credit.
friends with her, I do need to ask her that because it was shortly after. I'm like, did you get that from me? I don't know. But I know you also had an unconventional black wedding dress.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go with the black dress? Like, what was the inspiration? Where did that come about?
I mean, there's two sides of me. There's like the girl who, in my younger years, I was like the vintage lover. I went to every flea market. I interned at What Goes Around Comes Around. The hiatus after I interned at Teen Vogue. So I loved all of that. And then there's, the little punk rocker side of me.
Yeah.
And I initially, for my wedding dress, went to Monique Lillier because, again, very vintage inspired.
Yeah.
I mean, just beautiful. I don't
Yeah.
wear an actual vintage
Yeah,
wedding
no, I
dress,
remember
but-
seeing your photos. Stunning.
Yeah. And when I went there, they're all beautiful and white and just so pretty. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and they're like the most stunning dresses ever. But I was like, it's just not me. Like, I don't even recognize myself. I feel like on my wedding day, like I should look like myself, you know? And I went home and I Googled black wedding dress just to see if that was even a thing, you know? And, oh my God, why am I blanking? Hello, Vera Wang, duh. The wedding dress lady. Vera Wang had just done a collection of only black and red wedding dresses. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, she's like the wedding dress person,
Yes.
you know? And I saw this one. And I was like, that's it. That's the dress. I got to go in. And I booked an appointment. They set you up with like a bunch of different dresses, say yes to the dress, like that kind of vibe. And I was like, no, I just want that one. And they were like, no, like, you got to, because I know you think that, but you got to try it. And I was like, no, I just want that one.
Yeah, I know what I
That's
want.
it.
It's my wedding.
And I put it on. I was like, yeah, 100%. Like, that's it. That's
Love
all.
that.
And it was kind of that easy. I didn't think I was like making a statement or anything. It was just like, I always wear like head to toe black. Of course I'm going to wear a black wedding dress. And I mean, people were like quite shocked by it.
Yeah. Did anyone like friends or family have an issue with it, or was
No,
like
not at
people
all.
closest
Everybody
to you
would
supported
know.
and then
Yeah.
everyone else had their opinions?
Yeah.
Of course.
Everybody,
That's how it is.
Of course I was going to wear a black
Yeah.
wedding dress.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I'm like, of course I'm going to wear a crop top.
Yeah.
And I maybe wasn't in the best shape at the time for that wedding that I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I was like, fuck it. It was so me. And I'm like, it got people talking. And I felt like I was one of the first people, if not the first. I had Googled like celebrity crop top, two-piece wedding dresses, and I found nothing.
Wow.
So I was like, am I a trendsetter? Did
And
I
feel-
just do something?
You are, because now I feel like it's quite a popular choice
Yeah.
for people,
Yeah.
It's definitely not as unconventional as
Yeah.
it might have been at that
Totally.
time.
That marriage didn't work out, but,
But
did it
outfit-
again.
The
and
outfit was timeless.
It was. Then my second dress, I was like, okay, definitely more timeless and classic, and I loved it.
Cool.
So you and your husband Josh just celebrated your 10th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Speaking of weddings, first of all, congratulations. That's incredible. Especially just, in the entertainment industry, it's so awesome when you see relationships that work for as long as they do. It's so inspirational. You throw kids in, and it's a lot. I'm married
chaotic.
a second time now. I've got a kid. Just today, we were at each other's throats over, do we let her cry in the crib and put herself down? She has a cast on her arm right now. Do we go in and baby her? And I'm like, yes, I go in and baby her. He's like, no, we need to leave her. And it's just, so bravo on 10 years.
Oh, thanks.
And I saw a video on your Instagram recently that really resonated. I know our kids are pretty close in age, the younger ones, and you were discussing the struggles around your kid being, between the 18-month and 2-year, and seeing them start to get bigger, find their own dependence, just realizing they're not your baby anymore. So for all of the moms out there who are also, and myself, struggling with that, how have you been navigating that transition for now a second time?
Yeah, I think it hit me so much the first time, and then I recently, been kind of getting this wave of like hitting a real low, and I'm like, what's going on? What's the issue? And I'm like, oh, my kids, at that same age
Yeah.
again. That's that's what's going on, of course. But it's like, they're shedding a skin, and it forces you to shed a skin too.
Yeah.
And having to I hate to even use the word rediscover, because I think it's bullshit. Like the bounce back, the rediscovering yourself. Like, no, like I'm forever changed. I will never be the same. My body is never ever going to be the same body.
Yep.
I'm not the same person. Period. End of story. Right. So moving on from that, discovering, who am I now? I have to find my own semblance of independence in this. I want to. And the kind of shame that comes around that too, society really projects a lot of that, if you're a mother, then that must be number one at all times. That is your whole purpose now. And it's like, I think I'm called to more than that. I think I deserve to have my own purpose as an individual. And a huge part of that purpose is being my kid's mother. But I also need to find pieces of myself that are just for me, because if I do my job correctly, those babies are going to grow up and they're going to fly the nest, and they're going to be going off and doing their own thing. And I don't want to be left, in my 40s, 50s going, hold on, like, who the fuck is this? Like, what am I doing now? So I think it's important to kind of gradually find those steps, give yourself permission to find those pieces of you along the way. And for me, last year, I got an offer for a Hallmark Christmas movie, so I went and did that. It was my first acting job back, right? So acting, you're like, okay, that was something I'd done since I was 13 years old. That was my whole identity for a very, very long time. It's something I put to bed so that I could be present physically for my kids and navigate how the hell to be a mother for years, because that's a full-time job in and of itself. And being on a set again, it was challenging and scary and anxiety provoking. But when that 3-week shoot wrapped up, I was in tears looking around at this crew, just so grateful for these people that had helped me find a piece of myself again that I had lost and forgotten somewhere along the way. And it had nothing to do with the acting part itself. Yeah. It was just doing something that I had spent my whole life working really hard to achieve. Yeah. And feeling confident doing it again. It was like, oh yeah, Mama does have some skills, like, Mama, yeah. It was such a confidence booster for me. So trying to do more of that, more, not acting per se, but just more of allowing myself to find those strengths, find those skills, find those passions that fall outside of my motherhood bubble on occasion. I mean, I'm still with my kids 24/7, so I should probably do it more. Yeah. But mom guilt, so, Yeah,
I think that's so important, though. You still have to do the things that make you feel like you, because when you're the best version of yourself for yourself, you're going to be the best version for your kids. So I hate all the mom shaming that, comes with, especially with my job. I do have to go out a lot, and you do see me on camera out a lot, but I'm like, this is my job. Do you shame mothers who go to work from 10 to 5, and
they do.
Work at an office all day? It's just like,
unfortunately, they do. They still do. You know? And it's like the working mom thing. I think there's a lot of shame still, which is hilarious in 2023. Right? That like we're still going to attach that stigma to women that are providers for their families, but there's so much negativity on whatever that work life looks like for you, and it's something I find incredibly frustrating. And I think when you're around other working moms, it's actually so refreshing, because they get it, they don't judge you, they're there celebrating you, and they're still complaining that their kid broke their arm and now I'm bickering with my, I know, we bring those mom problems with us everywhere we go. People trust 100%. Us. But the reason why we're here and doing this right now is for those little people. Yeah. So definitely. It looks different for everybody. I wish we could just give everybody a little more grace. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, we're here in LA, but I know you are living in Tennessee. Yeah. So what, how did your family end up settling down there? What brought you over there? Honestly, the pandemic. Like, we were part of that mass exodus that happened, and not for anything. We had bought our first house. It was in North Hollywood. We loved North Hollywood so much. Halloween Town right around the corner, all these cute like mom and pop shops, amazing restaurants in the NoHo Arts District up there. But it got really unsafe. I made the mistake of getting that Citizen app on my phone.
Oh my God, I've refused. I have refused.
Big mistake. Don't recommend to
we had
anybody.
Like 8 months we lived in Hollywood. I was like, nope, not getting that.
Definitely not a good idea. But I did that.
Yeah.
And it essentially just scared us out. And I think and emotionally at the time, I needed some space from LA. I think my self-worth was very much tied to the career I had here for a long time, and becoming a mother and choosing to step outside of that was something that felt right to me, but something that I felt was very undervalued by the industry that I was at one time an asset to. Yeah. And I didn't feel like I didn't like feeling like I was living in my own shadow. And, I'm like, I'm, whatever I was, 28, 29 years old, 30 years old now. Like, I'm not chasing the dreams that 18-year-old me went and chased and conquered, by the way. Yeah. That's a big part of my story, but it's not who I am today. Yeah. And I want to be okay with that. And the environment that I was in was not making me feel okay with that. I felt just really insecure, and I didn't like the way that the world that I was kind of existing in made me feel about myself. So I was ready. I was ready for a break, some space. Yeah. And then, I'm from Toronto. As we said, I'm Canadian. My husband's British. So we couldn't even fly back to visit our families, let alone move back to one of our home countries. Yeah. So we were like, well, we both lived in New York and wasn't for us, and definitely not with a small kid. So where do we go? And it was essentially like, close your eyes, finger on a map. Oh, hey, we went and partied in Nashville like 8 years ago and had a nice time. It seems like a cool place. Should we try that? And that was kind of it. Like, it was that impulsive. And we are big believers in something outside of you. So we were like, we're not going to say that this is happening right now. But if it's meant to be, it will be. So who knows? Nobody might want to buy this house. Let's put it up and we'll see what happens. Who knows? We might not find the house. Let's just have a conversation with a real estate agent and see. And literally, like, every single star lined up to make that move happen so fast. It was bizarre. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, like, this is just happening now. This is what's going on. So, yeah,
I
crazy.
love that.
Everyone's like, oh, are you in country music? I'm like, no. And I know that's what everyone comes here to do. But no, neither of us are in country music. Yeah.
I see you guys also travel around a lot with the kids. Do you have any tips for traveling with 2 young kids?
Yes, all the tips. All the tips. Know that it's going to be chaotic. Yeah. Embrace the chaos. Tip number 1. Having, good essentials to try and keep some semblance of a routine with you are really great. Like a travel crib that you trust. I use the 4 Moms Play. I'm not like pushing product, but
I have that one too.
It's amazing. Yeah. And the having a sail machine. Definite.
Always have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always travel with those 2 things. We use the Baby Zen Yo-Yo too. It's like the best travel stroller in my opinion, because you can put it in the overhead cabin, so you don't actually have to gate check. So as soon as that flight lands and everybody's ready to get off the plane, you just walk straight off that damn plane. So love the products that we rely on for sure. And, there is that part of just kind of accepting that, like, routine is what you make it. My husband and I, we are the constants for our children. We are their routine. And I saw this video actually of a mom the other day talking about European mothering versus American mothering, and how, Europe is very much a place that accommodates children, and a place where women, you'll see them out and about, and they're having dinner, and the kids are there, and whatever, and that's how we roll with our kids. And because we've traveled so much, I feel less and less guilty about it, whereas in America, like, when you're pregnant, it's like, here's the 800 sleep training books that you need, and here's all of the things for all of the structure and all of the routine, and it really pushes that, and moms are like, bound to their home based on a nap schedule and all of this stuff. And it's not to say that that's a negative, it can be helpful for kids 100%. But like kids are so adaptable. They roll with it. And my daughter loves traveling. She loves getting to go new places, hear other languages, try other foods, meet other kids on another playground somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift to be able to do that with my kids. So
yeah, I love that.
I think taking that pressure off that like American culture really puts on us of like, this is the way it has to be for you to be a good mom.
Yeah.
Is like, I guess tip number 11111. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like, do you, boo? Like, go where you want to go. Know that, yeah, it's going to be chaotic. Don't worry. The flight will end.
Right?
I promise, it will. The
Oh my
flight
God.
will end.
Totally.
And everybody will be okay.
Yeah, for sure. So what is next for Shenae? More travels, projects, family expansion?
Yeah, no. That's a hard pass. Hard pass for us on that one. At least for, years and years. And then maybe we'll adopt later on in life.
I feel that way with one. So I'm with you.
Second baby came out 6 weeks later. I was like, and I booked your appointment at the vasectomy doctor. So off you go. I've paid my dues. Now it's time for you to pay yours.
Yeah.
No family expansion for us. We go back to Tennessee in a couple of days. And, we've been exploring for the last 3 months. We bought a little place in London in January. So we're trying to split our time there more. It's so nice when we're there because my husband's family is there.
Right.
So we get some extra hands on deck with the kids, which is such a privilege when you don't have family living in the same country as you. So we're spending more and more time there and kind of toying with, ideas of where the next place we might settle could be. Because I think we're, itching for a bit of a change. I think the pandemic's passed now.
Yeah.
Life has resumed kind of as normal everywhere. And we're really missing our people, our community. So we're spending more time in Canada, the UK here.
I love that.
And just seeing like what is the next fit. My daughter doesn't start kindergarten until September 2024. So I'm like, this is the year.
Nice.
Like we've got a year to go to all the places. Maybe Japan, maybe here, there, everywhere. Let's like have fun, travel while we can, because eventually, you got to answer to school's schedules. So
I know. I'm like, I can't even think about that yet.
I know. I know, it's crazy. Like, and some places are super strict about, taking time off and all of that good stuff.
I know.
Like, we will be bound to like the holiday breaks when like, all of the children are traveling.
Yeah,
so it will get
for sure.
chaotic. And then work-wise, I might start dabbling back into acting again, which is crazy. And just keeping up with my YouTube channel and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, we will be following along your journey. Thank you so much for getting into some shenanigans with me.
Thanks for having me.
I know. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
I know.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Your dark hair, with those eyes so bright. They look into